This is Brian with Android Mixer, and today I will be doing an unboxing and initial impressions of the HTC One X device. The review unit that I've been issued is for AT&T, so it is the US version of this device. As you can see, it's got the typical orange and white AT&T packaging, the AT&T branding on the front. When you open the packaging, you've got the quick start guide, and the device is front and center. Now underneath here you have the charger and the micro USB cable. So I'm going to toss the packaging aside so we can focus on the device. Alright, so as you can see, the HTC One X is a white device. It's got a very nice form factor, very appealing to the eye. Feels like solid build quality. The outer shell feels like one solid piece. It's got the front facing camera, power button, and 3.5mm jack on the top, camera in the rear. We've got some sort of charging contacts for accessories. Some of the key specs for this device include the 8-megapixel camera on the rear, which has an LED flash. We've got a 4.7-inch 720p Super LCD display. Then we've got a 1.5 dual-core Snapdragon processor. This is all running on top of Android 4.0, which is Ice Cream Sandwich. So I'm going to skip this initial introduction on the device so we can do some demos here. The device also has 16 gigabytes of onboard storage and 1 gigabyte of RAM, along with an 1800 milliamp hour battery. Alright, I'm going to finish this out so we can play around with the OS a little bit here. It's running the latest version of HTC Sense 4. So as you can see, we've got some nice HTC Sense widgets here on the home screen, and it's got a little overlay right now trying to walk us through how to use the HTC Sense interface. So from my initial impressions, the device seems very responsive and snappy. We've actually got the 3 capacitive buttons on the bottom here for home, back, and the app switcher. Right now we don't have any recent apps, so that's not going to provide any functionality. It's interesting that HTC decided to not include the menu button. So there's probably going to be some interesting behavior when an application has the option to have the menu button displayed. The Android 4.0 soft buttons will display along the bottom still. So I'm going to try to find HTC Sense messaging app has the menu button at the top. I'm trying to find an app that might, Facebook here. Okay, so for example, here at the bottom we've got the 3 capacitive buttons and then the menu button, which takes up the entire bottom of the screen. Now on another Android 4.0 device, such as the Galaxy Nexus for example, you would have, along the bottom, you would have all of the menu buttons available. So if I went into Google Plus, that's a terrible example, I'm sorry about that. Trying to think of a good one. Off the top of my head I can't think of one, but you've got the regular soft buttons at the bottom for back, home, and app switcher, and when a menu button is required it will appear in the bottom right here, just as a contextual menu. So it's interesting to see that HTC decided to go with the capacitive buttons instead of using the native Android 4.0 soft buttons in the interface. Otherwise, the device seems very responsive and snappy here. It's got the ability for HTC Beats Audio by Dr. Dre. You can use HTC Music Hub. There's also an integrated Dropbox, which comes with 25 gigs of free storage. The super fast camera capture on this device, I'm going to try to get to the camera here so we can play around with that a bit. It's got image sense, which supposedly improves the lens, sensor, and software to integrate into one unique and fluid camera experience. So as you can see here, I've got my camera open. I'm going to fire off a couple pictures here. So I just took 4 pictures in a matter of seconds there. So that's great to see. I'm not going to go too in depth here with the camera review, but overall my initial impressions of the HTC One X device are really good. It only weighs in at about 4.59 ounces. The dimensions are 135 by 70 by 8.9 millimeters. So it's a really thin, sleek device. Feels really solid. I'm glad to see that HTC is getting back into some of these designs that are more sleek and getting back to their roots of creating quality devices. My last experience with some HTC devices was actually pretty negative. But man, this HTC One X device is definitely looking great. Many of you may have noticed that the US version here has the dual-core processor instead of the quad-core that is seen overseas. HTC and AT&T decided to opt for the dual-core rather than the quad-core so that they could include the 4G LTE radios on this device. So as you can see here, we're going to go to about this device. And it shows here we've got the dual core processor, 1 gig of memory, 4.7 inch 720p display, front camera 1.3 megapixels, got the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4. So this device is packed with all the functionality you need, and anymore these days a dual core can get everything done that you need. Quad core may be a little bit overkill and be bad on the battery. So a lot of manufacturers now are sticking with a more optimized and efficient dual core processor, and the devices are really sleek and fast, and they operate at the same level that you would see on a quad core device, because most apps or tasks that you perform on your phone do not need all the power that you would get from a quad core processor at this point in time. So overall, my initial impressions of the HTC One X are awesome. This is probably the main device on the market right now, in my opinion. So if you're looking for an Android device to get right now, I would go with the HTC One X. And you've got a AT&T 4G LTE on board as well. So as you can see right there in the top, sorry about that, we've got a 4G connection here, and it's a snappy device, and it's got a gorgeous display on top of that. So my initial impressions of this device are great. Thanks for watching.